Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com here, kind of segment 2 with the Rogue Market. These are cards that I actually have spec'd on, and I'm showing you what's called your TCGPlayer collection. Everything you order on TCG, they already put into your collection, and so you can actually track all the cards you've bought to see if they've gone up in price or down in price or what they're currently worth. It'll actually give you an estimation of how much your collection is worth. Like it says that I have $607 worth of cards in my collection. I've spent way less than that. A lot of these have actually gone up since I bought these cards. But anyway, it'll show you all the cards that I've bought, and I kind of want to show you that I do put my money where my mouth is. And when I tell you to spec on cards, I do go out and buy some cards. I don't just sit idly by and kind of hobby spec. So these are the cards that I have ordered. Whispering Madness was kind of a miss. I still expect this card to go up. I bought into this card after we saw the Waste Not be spoiled. And I bought a ton of Whispering Madnesses because I really thought that Waste Not was going to see a lot more play than it ended up doing. It's still a pet card of mine, and spoiler alert, when I do spoiler videos coming up here, that it is going to be a Waste Not card is going to be my favorite card so far, spoiled out of Fate Reforged, and I'll show you what card that is and why I'm so super excited for it to be printed. But until then, we'll just go back to the market card. So Whispering Madness, I fell short on, but I still think it's a decent pickup. It goes in every Mindseas deck that was ever purchased wants a Whispering Madness. It makes your opponent discard all their cards and draw that many cards, and then you can actually cipher it onto a card, and then do it over and over and over and over and over again each time. The coolest thing about Cypher in Commander is there's always one opponent that's open, and so you can always get through. You can put this on any card, any other card. You can put it on your Commander, and then hit them again and make everyone discard and draw all their cards again and take an obscene amount of damage. So I'm expecting Whispering Madness to go up in value over time, and I bought in at 10 cents. This is when I bought in, so you can still find them at 10 cents a piece, but I bought 117 of them at 10 cents, and so I spent a little over $10 on this spec that is potentially worth hundreds in the not so near future, but maybe 2-3 years I'm gonna be very happy because I did make a Whispering Madness spec. Now the second one is something I've been recently buying, and 113 of them I don't even feel like I've bought enough, is Tidebinder Mage, and I've bought them all around this 35 cents, and I've never spent more than over 50 cents on a Tidebinder Mage. It's all been under 50 cents, and I've spent a nice little penny on this, around $50 into Tidebinder Mages. I think Tidebinder Mages is one of the biggest does, and in fact that is if you're going to spec in one card right now, go Tidebinder Mage. Last video I talked about Orzhov Pontiff, where people are like, oh, Orzhov Pontiff's just a one-of in a pod deck, and it's situational. Not every pod deck has it, and some black-white tokens deck have it, but usually they use Zealous Persecution rather than it, yada, 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 yada. So now we're looking at the Orzhov Pontiff being around a $14 card. Tidebinder Mage just rotated, so it's got that going for it. It is a 4-of in a lot of modern Merfolk deck. It is a card that makes Monastery Swisspear tap down, and they have to at least deal with the Tidebinder Mage before they can untap that Swisspear. So it has that implications against the Delver deck. It also is very good against like Siege Rhino or Scavenging Ooze or anything out of the junk deck. Basically, it taps down because most of their cards, most of their creatures are going to be green out of that deck. And so it hits a huge percentage of the metagame in Modern. It hits Zoo. It hits Red Deck Wins, even though Tidebinder Mage, yeah, at least Tidebinder Mage will eat a burn spell, which isn't what Burn wants to be doing if they want to untap their Goblin. And it's great because they like it because of the double devotion for the Master Waves, which Master Waves is still is such a great pickup at $3. I'm a little bit hesitant of Theros because Theros was printed into Oblivion. That set was just open. I wanted to see the actual statistics because I have an inkling that Theros was opened a lot more than any other set by far. People say Return to Ravnica, but I'd love to see the statistics because RTR was drafted as a 3-of. Then it had a break as Gatecrash was drafted as a 3-of. Theros never had a break in drafting. It was just opened, and a lot of the popular cards from the last standard format were in Theros, And a lot of the cards from like Journey and Born of the Nyx didn't see a lot of play until after the rotation of Return to Ravnica. So anyway, if Theros wasn't open as much as I thought, maybe like Master Waves and Thassa might be good pickups. But Tiebender Mage was in 14, which wasn't nearly as open as much as Theros. And it is sitting in a 35-cent card. It's a 4 of in a strategy in Modern that is always there. In fact, it just topped 8 at one of the last Grand Prix. So 35 cents for a 4 of in a deck that sees heavy play in Modern, and I've seen these cards actually in the sideboard for Legacy, is the biggest duh ever. And it might take a year, it might take 2 years. You never know. They could print Curse Catchers around like $7 right now, so it's one of those cards you think that they want to reprint out of in Modern Masters 2. And so maybe they'll have an entire Merfolk theme in Modern Masters 2, and therefore Tidebinder Mage. It's just one of those things that the creativity of players, Magic players, sometimes isn't the strongest. So what happens is they start opening cards out of sets and like, huh, cool, I've got this Lord of Atlantis out of Modern Masters 2. I want to build a Merfolk deck, and now they need four Tidebinder Mages. So Tidebinder Mage, absolutely the card to spec in. Now, I spec'd in all the Primordials. I actually bought a lot of these for 5 cents a piece, and I just bought a ton of them because it's just, spend $8 here, you spend like $4 here, $3 here, whatever, of potential cards that could be worth a lot. And not only that, but it's cards that I personally, I know that a lot of people use Star City Games as the gold standard. And this is a strategy of mine that I've used forever. In fact, that's how I acquired like 16 Dark Confidants back in the good old Ravnica days, was I would go on Card Shark at the time. That was the place to buy cards. And like Star City Games would be listing all rares at 50 cents. They never go below 50 cents. And so I would buy 4 of each junk rare for around 5 to 10 cents on Card Shark, and then have my junk rare binder of all these quote unquote 50 cent. I already made that huge, 1,000% increase from 5 cents to 50 cents. That I could then trade up towards Dark Confidants, which were around $2 to $3 at the time because they weren't seeing much play, but they were seeing play in Legacy, and I just had an inkling Dark Confidant would be worth something over time, and that's how I was able to trade trash into treasure. And I wished I still lived in Salt Lake for this, because Salt Lake you can just go to all the huge events. There's a lot of game stores. There are so many in the valley. There's like 20 game stores in the Salt Lake Valley. Whereas, now that I live in rural Utah and I'm kind of affiliated with the store, I don't do any trading at all. But it's just one of those things that you always want to have kind of a trash binder. There are people that are looking for 50 cent rares, and when you can pick them up at 5 cents and trade them at 50 cents, that's a huge, huge value. So, anywho, I bought into all the Primordials except for the green one because it's banned in Commander because of the announcement of the monocolored Commander decks. I didn't think they were going to include any cards from Gatecrash or Theros this quickly from Gatecrash in the Commander decks. And so I bought into all the colors that weren't banned and thought that those are just obvious upgrades to a lot of the decks. I don't know if white wants the white one, but the blue one absolutely wants the Diluvian Primordial. And I think the red one, or the black one, absolutely wants the Sepulchre Primordial as well. And I think that's why we've seen a little bit of an increase in this. It's now low is now 15 cents and I only bought 17 of these. So shame on me. I think I was buying everything under 10 cents, and there wasn't many Sepulchres to begin with at under 10 cents. And so, but this card is going to continue to go up in value as it is going to, when people start to upgrade their black Commander decks from the 2015 Commanders, then this is going to be an obvious upgrade there. So, anywho, another card that I spec'd on that I still think, and now if I can really find these for 45 cents, I'll buy a few more, is Ashen Rider. I bought 72 cents of these, and they did spike back up to around the $2 mark, and I could have got out of them. I've bought most of these Ashen Riders for around 35 cents to 60 cents a piece. Now, with TCGPlayer, you just have to play the waiting game. When people list new cards, that's when you buy them out. And TCGPlayer, let me be very, very frank with you. TCGPlayer is not a seller's market. It is a buyer's market. You will get feed to death if you want to try to make a profit using TCGPlayer. They charge an 8% commission fee right off the bat. No ifs, buts, ands, or. Every sale is going to cost you an 8% commission fee. Then there is a PayPal transaction fee, which is a one-time fee, and that actually cuts into your. It's like they have like a 50 cents, or not PayPal transaction fee. It's like a 50-cent just transaction fee that they charge just for every purchase. And then there's something else. So it comes out to be around 11.5, somewhere a percentage that gets taken out of each sale. And so that means on a lot of cards, you, first of all, to try to sell these two, you have all these people competing, so you're never going to be able to sell at this mid price. It's going to be somewhere between this low and mid that you're going to be able to target and sell. And then you have to account for, so say that here, I bought these Whip of Erebos for a buck is when I bought them. I bought them when rotation time came, and these were down to about $1. You can find them on TCG Low for about $1, and I bought 13 copies of them. So now they're selling, I could sell them right now for $3 each. And so I spent $13 and made 30, and now I'd be able to make 39. Now I'm gonna have to, if I was gonna ship these, if I could sell them all to just one person, which is not very realistic, feasible, then I could make a profit. But what happen is you'll usually sell these in one or two ofs. Now they're going to tack on that 50-cent transaction fee, so now you're down to $2.50, and then they're going to tack on that 11% or 10% commission fee after all the other fees. So you're down another 30 cents. So that's 80 cents out of your profits. You'll still make a profit from $1 to $2.20. Oh, then you have to ship the card, and a lot of times if you're gonna, this $3.19 is actually accounting for shipping in it. So either they have added shipping in, or it's $3.19 with free shipping. And so there's another 70 cents for shipping. So you've just cut yourself $1.50 out of the profits. You've made a whopping 50 cent profit per Whip of Erebos, which is not very good for your time. So again, TCGPlayer is the best buyer's market, though, because you don't pay any fees as a buyer, which I think is a little bit, I really think the fees, that's why I used to love Card Shark, is fees were kind of split between both the buyer and the seller. And you also had to pay a minimum amount of, like, your purchase had to be a minimum of $3, I believe, and now in TCGPlayer it's only $1. So you could actually lose money on transactions if you're a seller on TCG, which is really bad for trying to sell in commons, and low rares on this site. So I'm hoping for something in the future as far as a seller that's a lot easier to sell than TCGPlayer, but at this moment eBay and TCG are very awful to try to sell. The best way that I've unloaded cards is either at GPs. Sometimes vendors play a pretty penny for cards that they need at that GP, like they'll be low on a particular card. One that I can remember was Shattering Spree. I think that the margin that Channel Fireball was paying compared to what they're selling them, I think they're buying them at like $3.25 at the time and selling them at $4 or $4.50. And so it was such a great margin right there that I was able to get out on all my Shattering Sprees and make a pretty decent profit. And if I would have eBayed them, or there was no TCG, well, there was TCG, but it wasn't open to the public back then I probably wouldn't have made nearly that much. So my best way of getting out of cards is to go to GP, unload them there, or just find players on either Facebook or elsewhere and just sell them. Find player to player, sell them. It takes time. It takes sometimes a good meetup to do so, but it's better than getting feed to death, which is what happens on TCGPlayer. All right, so back to TCGPlayer. I bought in an Ashen Riders. I expect this card to be a long-term speculation. It's going to be, you probably have I bought this because I really thought that Whip of Erebos was going to be a huge theme, which I was right. It was Whip of Erebos, but I thought that their card was not going to be Hornet Queen that they wanted to whip back. I really thought it was going to be Ashen Rider they wanted to whip back, but unfortunately, there are other cards that are better to be whipped back, and Ashen Rider has seen a little bit of whipping, but not much. Now let's talk about my card that I completely missed the boat on, and I'm still so unhappy about this because this card's insane, and it might actually see play. It's got another 5 mana in the black-red archetype that wants to be Generator Servant in the new Fate Reforged spoilers, which is the black-red dragon. So Underworld Cerberus might go hand in hand with the black-red dragon and the Generator Servant and actually make a competitive deck. But the problem with Underworld Cerberus is not on the power level of Underworld Cerberus. It's that right now the removal is so higher costed exiling removal that people aren't going to, like, Underworld Cerberus does not dodge anything right now. It dodges like Bile Blight, but I've even had Underworld Cerberus double angered. And so it gets exiled, it doesn't die, and I don't get anything back from my graveyard. So this has been my scenario with Underworld Cerberus. It has been Devouring Lighted. It has been Pillar of Lighted? It has been Banishing Lighted. All those light cards, just exile it. It has been thrown back on top of my library with a Jeskai Charm. It has been exiled with the Utter End. It has been exiled with Silence of Believers. It has been exiled with Guild. It has been, I mean, just, there's even more. There's way more cards that I can't even think of off the top of my head that exile right now. And it's just, it's just so frustrating that Underworld Cerberus, first of all, can't even get a swing in a lot of the times. And second of all, just immediately gets answered. And it's not answered by removal. It's answered by being exiled. So there's just an obscene amount of exile cards that were printed in this format, and that is the reason why Underworld Cerberus never went up. Now, the good news is it is a one of in a legacy deck. It's probably a casual friendly card that in 2-3 years I'll get my money back, but I think I bought most of these for around a quarter, though, was the thing. I was targeting these around 45 cents, a quarter to 45 cents. I think 45 cents was my cutoff price with Underworld Cerberus. I really thought this was going to be a $2, $3, $4. thing with Underworld Cerberus, I saw this to be the next, like Olivia Voldaren, where it was like kind of like a bulkish mythic, and then overnight the format was able to, from the rotation, was able to change so vastly that Olivia went from being a fringe played card, casual card, to a powerhouse in the format. And I really thought a 6/6 for 5 mana, very aggressive, that had pseudo evasion, that had a plus to being killed, would be a staple in any sort of red-black aggro. The problem with that is red-black aggro never really took off, and all the decks that do want to play aggro want to be, their curve wants to be a lot less than a 5. So, and then I really thought Generator Servant would find a home with Underworld Cerberus. But Generator Servant has kind of fallen from grace as well, because Seeker of the Way and Goblin Realm Master are still huge problems. So everyone's got an answer for those two. So either your Generator Servant doesn't see a turn to live, or your Underworld Cerberus gets exiled. Either way, not good for Underworld Cerberus decks. So that card just didn't speculate out as the way that I did. Huge black eye miss of mine. And yeah. So Detention Sphere is another one that I was actually buying around 25 cents a piece. You could actually find them every now and again for 25 cents. It's since gone up to 50 cents. I've quit buying into Detention Sphere. It's just a card that's going to go in every blue-white commander deck in the history of mankind. Might as well pick them up. It's a very powerful rare. We see cards like Banishing Light. Oblivion Ring was such an expensive common for quite a while until it got printed into Oblivion. Pun intended. And then, so it's got a unique effect. It can take care of any sort of token strategy in Commander, exiling all of them. It exiles a commander. Everyone hates it when their commander gets pinned underneath a Detention Sphere, especially if you're for a black deck that has 0 ways to deal with enchantments. Alright, so then Fire Dream Crusader was another miss. I bought this at the end of rotation. I thought that red aggro was going to be the best deck going forward, which it was for a while until people adjusted. It went up slightly from when I bought into it, but it never hit around the $2 mark that I thought it would be. I really blame Theros being opened way more than I thought it. I just think that rares out of Theros are basically uncommons. They just are so many copies of Fire Dream Crusaders out there that it was just such a pointless speculation. Alright, so Breaking and Entering out of Dragon's Maze. This card is another no-brainer. This would be my number 2 pickup. So if I were to give you any advice, if you can get anything from this is pick up Tidebinder Mages and pick up Breaking and Entering. There is a fringe modern playable deck that is a mill. Mill is a very casual-oriented strategy. Breaking and Entering is a 4 of in that modern deck, and it is a 4 of in a ton of casual mill decks. So at 29 cents a piece, I think that's a no-brainer for Breaking and Entering to continue to, well, once the rotation actually, the stab of rotation actually goes away, I think that Breaking and Entering will increase in price and be a $2, $3, maybe even $4 card within a year. So that is my prediction. Alright, Opposite Aid was just another card that I bought at 10 cents a piece that just had such an amazing it's just it's something. It's one of the only things that can bring back any permanent from your graveyard. So you can bring back planeswalkers. You can reanimate planeswalkers. You can reanimate a lot of things that are just plain broken in Commander. All right, talk about with Veribos. Boon Satyr, I personally just needed 4 of them, and I thought, what the hell, I'll buy an extra 2 playsets. And I thought that Mono Green Devotion, at least Mono Green Aggro Devotion, would have been bigger than it actually was. But we saw Go Big or Go Home Devotion rather than aggressive. I really liked Aspect of Hydra, and I thought Boon Satyr. I also liked the Boon Satyr because it was something for 3 mana that can enable Ferocious. I still absolutely love Boon Satyr in my red-green aggro deck with Crater's Claw, as you can end a turn Boon Satyr, and then not only swing it with Boon Satyr, but a lot of times Crater's Claw for the win for that last bit of damage. Or Boon Satyring onto a Stormbreath Dragon was also a cool feeling too, because you go 5th turn Stormbreath Dragon, swing it for 4, and then 6th turn you can bestow the Boon Satyr onto the Stormbreath Dragon and get in there for some more damage, and actually even protect it against like a Stoke the Flames or something. So I bought, again, I needed 4 Burning Inquiries, so I bought 12 of them. Usually when I need 4 Burning Inquiries. This is for Waste Not. This is one of my favorite cards for Waste Not. I think it's amazing. I think that Waste Not actually might be playable in Modern after this new card out of Fate Reforged, which I'll show you in my spoiler video, and it might be an archetype that is worth considering. So Burning Inquiry, I bought these quite a while ago. Again, it was more for personal reasons. It also goes nicely in the Mindseize deck. I don't know why people don't run this in Mindseize if they don't. Just 1 mana, each player draws 3 cards, discards 3 cards. Mindseize, any sort of discard deck, absolutely loves that. Dictative Erebos, I just found these for 10 cents. I'm like, yeah. I think it was with Tidebinder Mage. I was trying to get free shipping, and I needed to buy some more cards, and Channel Fireball had some more Dictative Ereboses, so I added these to my cart to just put that above where I got free shipping. So Dictative Erebos is just something in the long run. You have forever to buy into these, though. They're 10 cents a piece right now on the low. You can find plenty of vendors that will sell them at 10 cents. But in the long run, 2-3 years, these will be $2, $3, $4 cards, because it's going to go in most Commander decks. I absolutely love it in my Tesa deck. It's a flashable Grave Pack that's a lot easier on the mana base. Back call, I have a special, like I was building a Glimpse deck in Legacy, and it was working out pretty well, so I thought I'd buy 10 back calls, because why not? Again, at 13 cents, this card is going to get better the more cards are printed. Eventually, back call is going to be a card that is breakable in Modern. Reforged the Soul, I bought this again, Mindseize. I don't know why people aren't using this in Mindseize if they haven't yet. Still 50 cents. It's actually a great card. It sees play in Legacy. It sees play in Commander. It sees play a little bit in Modern, in Storm, but unfortunately Storm has been just weeded out because of Delver. It's very hard for Storm to recover from remands and mana leaks. So Reforged the Soul I still do like, though. Again, it is played in Legacy. And at 50 cents, this is a great card to pick up. If I were going to give you a third pick to pick up, it would be Reforged the Soul. Chromatic Core, I think I actually bought these for less than 60 cents. I just bought 8 of them because it's one of those cards when you're scrolling through TCGPlayer that it was just such a no-brainer to pick up a Mythic for really, really obscenely cheap. And it's going to be a card that I think that people are going to utilize. And I've seen this being played in a lot of 5-color Commander decks. People love this card. Night Howlers, I bought 8 of them. I personally needed 4. Just thought I'd pick up another 4. This card I really thought that it would go great in a Age of the Fates mono black devotion. It made the most sense as another devotion enabler for black, and I thought there was really no the upside to buying in a Night Howler would have been huge. If this would have been able to see some sort of standard dominance, Night Howler could have been like that Desecration Demon effect where it went from 50 cents to $14 overnight. So there was really no downswing to this. I think I even bought into this even lower, and I still like this. It's something that is not going to be a bulk rare past its rotation time, because it's got such a cool ability to read the entire graveyard state. So in Commander deck, it reads all of your opponents, and it's just a huge card for relatively nothing. Rest in Peace, this card is a no-brainer. This is going to be a Legacy and Modern staple for sideboards forever, and at 70 cents, it's a good time to get into Rest in Peace. Mortal Servitude's a pet card. I bought 4 of them just because. Mercy Eviction, again, is another Commander card. It's your one card answers any type of card you want. needed some Angel's Graces and Lava Claw Reaches, and the rest is there. So anyway, these are just my own specs, and a little bit of my thinking of what takes me to actually pull the trigger to buy cards. Now, I'm not a very diverse person. Again, I've gone all in on Tidebinder Mage, and I would say that has been my card that I'm specking on for the short future and the long future to be a great valuable card, as is a 4 of. One more time, it's a 4 of in a deck, in a modern deck. And there has been, looking over like the results for the past while, Tidebinder Mage or Merfolk decks have, yep. So look, 5 Merfolk decks have been played recently in modern tournaments. You can actually see all of these, and this isn't even MTGO. You'd even find even more. So it took 4th place on the 11th. I think that was at the Grand Prix actually. And then 3rd place, there's 21st place, 1st place. It shows all of these tournaments where these cards were actually played, the Merfolk decks. And you can throw up one of these. I wonder what this UR aggro is. If this is a, wow. So Tidebinder Mage, you actually use 2 Tidebinder Mage and Delver in the sideboard. That's very interesting. I guess it does tap down that Siege Rhino. So yeah, it's kind of cool if they start picking up, if Delver even starts picking up Tidebinder Mage in the sideboard. That's pretty sweet. So I think this was the Grand Prix deck that had the Tidebinder Mages. Oh, this one actually didn't. Don't want to show you this one. So this one did not have Tidebinder Mages, and nor did it have in the. Oh, yes, it did. Okay, 2 Tidebinder Mages in the sideboard, and I've seen though that most of the Merfolk deck on MTGO were running them in the main board, and Tidebinder Mage 2 in the main, 1 in the side. We have, let's see, this guy. He's got 3 in the main. And so, again, every Merfolk deck so far has at least had 1 or 2 copies of Tidebinder, 3 in the sideboard. So, again, it's a very, very popular card in the modern format. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Again, sorry for being long-winded. And we'll get into some spoiler videos here. I just thought I'd do some financial videos. Hopefully you learned something from this. This has been Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Thanks for watching.